screen with the few colorful motion pictures you've been hearing about and reading
It's
about.
showtime, folks. Enjoy the show.
We're delighted to have you with us. The Drive-in Theater.
You'll find something to please you to add to your evening's enjoyment.
Is pleased to bring you our feature presentation.
Yo!
Hey, everybody.
What's up? This is weird. This is new. I know, Vint, we already got people going, what is going on? What is happening right now?
We
oh, jeez.
with we got a man in the field now.
Yeah, I'm here in an empty theater. For those of you that are tuning into only the audio version of this podcast, this is probably going to sound like a normal show to you, but for those of you that are tuning into the live stream, things are a little bit weird. We're sounding a little muffled. We're wearing the masks. We're taking precautions.
We are, yes. So well, I mean, I don't know.
So we're still in the studio. We are on the opposite sides of the studio because the day before yesterday, I had like the tiniest of sniffles, and for someone who owns a bar, who works in the hospitality, it's hard enough out here as it is, with everybody going, and doing about their normal things, even though they're like sick or ill or whatever. I don't like taking those chances. Mm-hmm. So I was like, you know what? I have a little bit of a sniffle. If we're gonna do this, we need to do it right. So we decided to do a socially distant version of the Drive-in Speakerbox.
Be safe. Yeah, well, because if you know what, honestly, the two of us are probably two of the most very COVID safe people, which is why you've been seeing us on the show near each other, maskless, this entire time, because we both know we have good practices and we are close friends in real life, so we're around each other quite a bit already anyhow, but precaution is the better way to do things. But also, Vince said that he's sure this whole episode will be dedicated to the new installment of the Boss Baby franchise, which a big old trailer was out for.
Boss Baby. God, what the heck?
That's why we put a man on the scene in the movie theater
I'm
to
here
report back.
Reporting live on all the trailers that happened over the weekend. So, some shout-outs. Johnny Dalton over there. Hey, what's going on over on YouTube's Chef Stephen Brooks over there saying, good call, guys, on our social distance episode
here.
Yeah,
for sure. Well, and I like to think of it as like a Life of Pi type thing where you get to pick the reason. Is it because we're being very COVID safe right now, or is it because we got a man in the field for Boss Baby franchise?
I don't know.
You decide.
Choose your own adventure.
Which one's the better story, really? Hyenas and orangutans and tigers on the open sea with bioluminescence all through the ocean, or just normal everyday safety practices in a pandemic.
It's true. Vince asks, have I gotten tested? Yes, but I won't know the results of that for another couple of days.
Which is why we're keeping our safe distance.
Just doing the smart moves. I get tested pretty regularly, actually. Owning a bar it's just become a part of my routine every week. Although it's gotten to be about once every other week now. But yo, dude, my face holes are used to getting penetrated at this point, and that sounds really weird saying it out loud. But hey, the things...
Did it not sound weird in your head before you said it out loud?
And that's why I said it, because welcome to the show.
That is our show. Yeah.
Tony says, safety up, healthy good. Yeah, thanks. That's what we're trying to do over here. John Dalton says, are you about to operate on a Pee Wee Herman's bike? Hey man, Pee Wee Herman's bike is the ultimate bike.
That's true.
One time I found a bike that was somewhat close to that bike, and I tried to restore it, and I just didn't have the ability.
Dude, I would kill to have a Pee Wee bike for sure.
Shout outs over to Counterexample over on Twitch. Hey, thanks for joining us tonight. So as the title suggested, we saw Wonder Woman, and we both saw it in two different ways. Like, because I had the sniffle, I was like, man, I'm not going to go to the theater. So I watched it at home, and the Grip saw it at the theater.
I did the theater because we kept telling all of you guys to go to the theater, do the thing at the theater. watch them there. So I made sure that I was true to that, and I went and I did watch it in the movie theater, especially since AMC's back up and running. I have my A-list going again, though our local one is only open for weekend showings right now. They do the Friday, Saturday, Sunday. They were open Wednesday through the weekend, but they've only done now 3 days. Hopefully they'll open back up soon. So I've been splitting my time between both of our movie theaters here recently.
And we went and saw Scrooged over Christmas break, which was so much fun getting to see that movie on the big screen. I had forgotten how very up close and personal a lot of those shots were. It was just like in your face. Here, let me use the producer's cam and see if I can just like do this. Well, I'm not gonna mess with it, but anyway, yeah, it's crazy how close you got to see everyone's teeth and pores and nostrils. But
well,
it's
a lot of it in Scrooged was the focus on things like that, like teeth and stuff, like with the taxi driver and the Marley character, the TV exec that comes to visit him in zombie/ghost form. So a lot of them, it made their teeth the focus of that character, kind of.
It was one of the best tellings of the Dickens classic, in my opinion. Is Scrooge.
It's always been one of my top movies for sure.
All right, well, let's see. Johnny Dalton over on YouTube, he says he bit the HBO. I'm assuming that means he bit the bullet and the Max bullet. Got the HBO Max. Is now a paying customer to the collective.
Well, as having HBO Go for a while or something like that, it's not really a big step up to go for the Max because it's basically a replacement for that. But you get things like the TCM added in and everything like that. That kind of makes it where you get a bit more options for it. Sure, it has movies like The Witches on there that are big duds and a waste of time, but you also get all the HBO programming library, but then you get things like the TCM and things like that kind of make it more enjoyable to have the Max, plus all the Warner Brothers stuff, the DC animated things that are out there, and all of that.
Which there's so much of that stuff coming out. There's so much DC stuff. The extended universes they're talking about.
Well, and they've already moved Doom Patrol over there completely. So I wonder when they just finally will fold in the DC streaming service into HBO completely and have it as ATT Time Warner's single streaming. Like, this is where everything AT&T Time Warner is, kind of a thing.
Yeah.
Because they've already done 80% of it, and why have multiple things when they can just have it all in a single use deal like that? Which, talking about big time studios and things like that. Did you breathe on me, bro?
No, I didn't.
No, that was just me getting choked up. MGM is apparently up for sale, and they only want $5.5 billion for it, which doesn't really sound like a lot for one of the longest running, biggest movie studios.
I mean, $5 billion seems like a really, really low price tag for.
I mean, imagine if one of the other big studios went up for, like, if Disney went up for sale. There's no way. Disney purchased Lucasfilm and LucasArts and Lucas Entertainment for what was it, $4 billion, and that was just for Lucasfilm.
Yeah.
And you're talking MGM that's been around for 100 years. You're going all the way back to like Wizard of Oz and every James Bond movie, anything and everything that is Metro, Goldwyn, and Mayer. And
don't forget Mayer.
Yeah, well, that's the three studios that came together. They were forged into one, and now it's up for sale for what, like 2 Disney movies gross at the theaters by themselves.
Yeah, that's crazy.
It's not just their entire library, but all of their active projects and movies. Like if James Bond doesn't make it to the theater before the sale goes through with someone else, that new James Bond and everything for it just becomes part of whoever buys it too. So everything they have in the works, everything they've ever made.
The Drive-in Speakerbox is starting a campaign now.
Yeah, let's have a GoFundMe. Let's all come together and buy MGM.
Yeah, we're just going to buy it because, I mean, it's not that expensive. I mean, Jeff Bezos could buy it and still have money left over. So If you know some
easy.
billionaires out there,
I didn't even think. Yeah, Amazon could easily acquire MGM.
yoink, yeah,
And
like
then-
nothing.
And then every James Bond would be a Prime original.
Oh God, weird. I don't know how I feel about that.
Yeah.
I don't think that's a good. I don't know. Ugh.
Yeah.
Johnny
Vince said-
Dalton says, "Don't forget Roadhouse."
Oh, yeah. Was that an MGM?
I think it
Hey.
was.
Vince said that I always get choked up about media mergers. You're right, man. We do. I think that because
Because if you think about these media mergers, they are everything that the film community and Hollywood has worked so hard to fight and preserve all of these years with antitrust laws and all of this stuff to kind of protect us as consumers and also people like me who used to work in the business and making these films. And now everyone is just happy if we get to see it on our TV. And,
yeah, because I
you
mean,
know,
what if Disney is like, oh, I think we'll buy MGM too. Disney's already too big of a powerhouse. They're unstoppable. And if they were to purchase that, because $5.5 billion for Disney
ain't shit.
nothing. That's nothing to them. Two of their movies, like between Beauty and the Beast and Lion King, they're just like, oh, $5.5 billion? Yeah, okay, we have it laying around. No big deal, you know. They're like, have a couple of Disney coins, our own crypto that's worth $5.5 billion each. Take that, you know. Not a big deal for them at all.
No.
So, and that would be terrifying for James Bond to become like a Disney property.
Not ready for that to happen. No way. No how. What else going on in the comments? Yeah, McLean said he had Scrooge on repeat all Christmas Day, as you
Yeah, hey,
should.
that's way better than Christmas Story. Christmas Story is fine to watch once. Dude, I can't do the marathon. I can't. My dad always tries to make
I never
us...
like watching one movie more than once anyway, but
I like Christmas Vacation. I'll watch Christmas Story once. I have to hear Cheech and Chong do Santa Claus and his old lady. And then Scrooged is there. Maybe Home Alone, some Hook, Die Hard, you know.
Vince says if MGM was laying on the sidewalk, it wouldn't be worth Disney's time to pick it up.
That's probably true.
You're honest. So, like MGM's over there, like anything helps, and Disney's like, oh God, these guys.
Yeah, and this value...
Get a job, you loser.
This valuation was done by MGM themselves, and this is per Wall Street Journal. There's like, yeah, MGM was like,
You're worth more than that, MGM.
I guess we're worth $5.5 billion. I don't know. We have some James Bond movies, you guys. So please, someone give us money.
Yeah, you're worth more than it. Look in yourself. Have some confidence, MGM. You're worth more than that.
Yeah.
You're worth more than that. But there hasn't been a whole lot of interesting movie news going on this week. Mainly, I think, because it was the holidays. I don't think anybody died.
Well, actually,
crap.
the wrestling world unexpectedly lost AEW star and former WWE star. He wrestled under the name Brody Lee, or in WWE, he was Luke Harper, his real name being John Huber. He died unexpectedly just the other day of non-COVID related lung
Were they
issue.
wrestling related?
No.
Okay.
No.
He didn't have the dreaded wrestler's lung, did he?
No.
Okay.
And this
Is that
guy, he was like a top worker. He'd done the independents, everything. And so far, every wrestler that's said anything has had nothing but kind words to say about him. He left WWE so he could be with his family, and that was like part of why they like came to an agreement and let him go, is because he didn't like being away from his children and all this stuff. And he was just like the nicest guy. But yeah, he died. So there's someone big in entertainment. Yeah, unfortunately.
That's a bummer.
I think there's like a couple other like choreographers and stuff like that. So no one is as big that anyone would recognize, like the guy that was in the Boba Fett outfit one time in 1983.
Oh no!
Yeah,
Not that guy that you didn't care about until Baby Yoda started becoming popular.
Yeah, so actually this Wednesday, Johnny pointed out TNT champion on AEW. This Wednesday for AEW, they will be doing a tribute show for him. So,
Word.
how about that?
That's nice. That's nice. But yeah, it was the Christmas holiday, so again, not a huge news holiday in terms of greenlit projects. I mean, obviously Wonder Woman got immediately greenlit for another sequel, which I think is crazy. And I think the reports were it just made over, and this didn't include Sunday's box office, but it made, here, let me pull up the numbers again. I think it made, here we go, clickety click, click, click. I know the initial report on Saturday was 16 million, but I haven't looked at it again since the Sunday.
Yeah, that's what I found when I was looking it up today, because I had saw on Saturday they had it at like 13.8.
And of course,
domestic.
Box Office Mojo has a service error.
Well, so the numbers I found today said that Friday through Sunday, so not including Christmas Day. Oh, Christmas was Friday. Okay.
Christmas was Friday,
So Friday through Sunday, it made 16.7 in the U.S., and that means internationally, where it had been out for a week or two already, it has grossed 85 million total, which that has made it, with the 16.7 domestic, the largest movie release in
I love that they do
COVID
this.
era.
They're just like, we got to find some record for it to break.
Well,
it's got to
but
break a record.
it's the biggest movie to release since all pandemic things went into effect for shutting theaters down and stuff like that.
Yep.
You know, so things like Bad Boys for Life or whatever that came out prior to the U.S. really being hit by COVID and theater shutdowns, you know, were big for this year, but not since everything had no business right after that. And then, actually, to continue that, they did release the numbers of how many people watched it at home.
Oh, man. These numbers are
which was
staggering.
6 million households. Now, this is only from the HBO Max service counter. Last estimate put it where they had 12.6 million subscribers, so it was viewed at approximately half of all of the subscriptions that HBO Max has. Does not include where you use HBO as an add-on for things like Amazon or Hulu. So there's millions of others unaccounted for that subscribe to HBO not as its own independent service, but as an add-on for things like their Amazon Prime or Hulu or things like that.
A lot of people watch this movie.
Well, and on the streaming services, they are on HBO Max, since that's the only one they can really track for sure. They had a spike about 3 times what their average viewership on any given day in November was on the release of Wonder Woman. And I did have someone tell me that when they attempted to watch it there on Christmas Day, they were having difficulty streaming it early in the day when it was released at like 9 a.m. Eastern.
Everybody's like, good morning, let's watch Wonder Woman. Yeah,
So it's the biggest boost that the theaters have seen.
And Vince said that he even got an HBO Max alert on his phone to watch it, and he says he doesn't remember them doing that before. You know, I think this is a really big turning point for just movies in general, because you know, it's a battlefield right now between theaters and streaming services. Everyone's trying to see what's more relevant, and you know, it's still hard to.
Well, and this one's
anybody's
a split
game, folks.
Yeah, I mean, this one's a split because it was a much needed injection into the theater's arms, just like on Blitz. You know, where when it moved to PS2 or whatever, and you could give your guy the roids after they break their leg to get them back in the game as quick as he could. I mean, it really gave it increased the value of movie theaters and gave them something that they needed really bad.
Yep. It says,
but
hey,
it also,
we're still relevant.
It also showed that,
and considering
like
how
10
many
million people watch it at home. So
considering how many theaters are still closed, how many theaters are doing reduced capacity, and it still made that much money, it is very telling. You know,
the showing I went to, there were about 4 people in 2 rows in front of me, and there were 2 or 3 in front of them. So there were less than 10 of us in the entire movie theater.
But you think about it, like I was explaining this to my family when we were watching Scrooged. It's like if you were to you know, go get seats in a theater that wasn't a private rental, you know, you got 4 people here. Well, then that's 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and if you got you know, you're almost an entire row just for your little group.
Yeah.
Because the way they block out seating.
Well,
so that's the fact that that's still generating enough revenue to make $16 million in ticket sales. That's pretty good.
Well, and because of that, since most theaters are blocking off about 2 seats on either side of you. They have limited numbers to about 5 people at a time. Your group can't be any bigger than 5, because then you automatically take up 9 seats at 5 tickets. But AMC now has messages up where you can. It says this theater is equipped with the lounging chairs. There's already social distance for those. They're separated in front and back, so no big deal. We'll block off the seats to the left and right of you. But they run messages at the beginning of the movie that say, keep your mask on during the movie as well.
Yeah. So I want to chime into something that Johnny Dalton just said on YouTube. He says, as a parent, it's nice to have the option to watch it at home. And I understand that having that option is nice. But
using Disney as a babysitter.
Having the option cheapens the overall thing. And you know, there's a big thought here that I want to try and encapsulate into a conversation piece about convenience, where convenience can deteriorate things that are special. You know, when you have something that you look forward to that doesn't happen very often, that it's a treat, it stays that way. It stays important. It stays impactful. It stays special. But if you just got the option to throw it away, whether or not you like it or not, while you think it's nice to have that option, what is really happening is you're programming yourself to not really give a shit about this stuff. You're kind of programming yourself to go, well, I mean, it's nice to have the option to not care, because if everything's available to me, then I don't have to care about anything because nothing's special. And, you know, it's one of those subconscious things that I think it's a difference between active and passive viewing and listening, which is something that I studied a lot. I've got a lot of weird theories about active and passive viewing and listening. And, you know, passive listening, passive viewing is incredibly dangerous to interpreting and appreciating art and storytelling. And, you know, I think that it's not nice to have the option because it makes when you do see it more important. And I think we all need to kind of take a hard, cold look at convenience culture in the face. While, convenience is cool, but there is a price to pay. Just like in Wonder Woman, if you get your wish, there's something that is taken in its place, and you may not realize what it is until it's too late.
Spoiler alert.
Spoiler alert.
That you don't. Well, it's only spoiler because you don't get to that until an hour and a half into the 2.5 hour movie. But that's kind of the entire plot. So
yeah,
spoiler alert, but not spoiler alert.
No, I mean, basically they took one of the oldest like cautionary tales. Like, who wrote The Monkey's Paw? They even like go out and just start calling it the Monkey's Paw. It's like, yeah, we know it's Monkey's Paw, and they're like, well, Monkey's Paw. The
producers and the director and Gal, they've all said that, you know, it goes back to mythology and the tales of mythology to tie into Wonder Woman and gods and all that dumb stuff. So. They
Except for The Monkey's Paw is a short story from W.W. Jacob, first published in the England collection The Lady of the Barge in 1902. I don't think it goes back to mythology and god times.
But the principles.
But trickster gods. The principles are there. They're Aesopian. They're there. But yeah, anyway, I mean, do we want to just start talking about Wonder Woman? Let's just get into it.
I mean, we can, because I mean that was really all the news that there was to talk about when half of it was Wonder Woman. And you know what? There were other movies that came out, and I kind of wanted to see them, and I might try and do that this week before we just hop into Wonder Woman. Because keep in mind, there are other movies that came out. That new Tom Hanks Western, News of the World, came out. And
I listened to a really good, I wouldn't say really good, but an interesting interview with Tom Hanks about the his thoughts on the survivability and theaters coming back. He thinks that theaters are most certainly poised for a comeback, but he does think that the streaming thing was an inevitable thing that needed to happen. And where
inevitability is probably a big part of it.
Yeah.
I think this hastened it quite a bit for sure.
But he was saying, you know, that maybe, you know, the big budget, big spectacle films will still like need theaters, and where this may be a really good thing for independent films, which I don't disagree with, but I do think that, you know, theaters are, and Tom Hanks even agreed. He's like, theaters are a required part of show business. He's like, we have to have movie theaters. But anyway. Miles says, Wonder Woman, you mean a superhero movie with a 1 hour body horror flick inside of it?
Yeah. But before we do get into it, there are movies that came out that all actually do seem very interesting. I want to see that News of the World movie because it's not just a Western. It looks like a very human tale and would be incredibly interesting, and I do want to watch that. Promising Young Woman actually looks really cool. You know,
it
the one
looks
I'm talking
promising.
about? Yeah, well, it's like the girl, she goes out and she acts like she gets drunk and all these predator men, and she lets them take her home, and then she just like beats the hell out of them because screw those guys, kind of a thing.
Have you ever seen? There's a movie, I think it's called Under the Skin, and it's I think it's like 2013. It had what's her name? Black Widow, Scarlett Johansson in it, and she's this alien that lures douchebag guys back to her place, and then she's actually a flesh-eating monster. And
yeah, but
it's really good. If you've never watched Under the Skin, check it out. It's really good. Anyway,
and then Monster Hunter's out there. Not one that I want to see, but it is one that's out there. And then that new live-action Pinocchio where Robert Benigni, instead of being a 40-year-old Pinocchio, is now playing Geppetto, which is a better call for that. So if you want to watch yet another weird live-action Pinocchio, that's out there too. But
Yeah.
Wonder Woman's the big one. So, of course, that's what I went and saw in theaters and what you did the streaming for safety. And, go for it.
So, I think we've still not had a really good opportunity to talk about this movie with one another, and we just save these conversations for you guys.
That's true. Yeah, we get to the studio if we start to talk about the movie. Let's
like,
save it for the show.
No, save it for the show. And my initial knee-jerk thoughts of this Wonder Woman 84 is essentially my knee-jerk thoughts of when they announced this movie. It's just more excuses to have a superhero who is trending well with demographics that they need to trend well with, and DC needing to find a beacon of hope in the movie theaters.
They definitely don't try to throw that in your face in this movie at all and make it just point blank, like this is what we're aiming for. The rest of you step out of the way at all. They definitely don't do that in this movie.
They definitely don't do that at all in any course of the first 45 minutes of this movie.
Yeah.
The heavy-handedness of doe-eyed little girls that get rescuing and doe-eyed young girls that defeat all the adult women and
then every snarky butthole being like, turns out it wasn't the police that did this incredibly heroic thing that no human could ever do. It was some female instead.
Yeah, I'm like,
and it's like, how over the top do you have to make this person? There's
man.
that is not natural dialogue for a human being.
And I understand the plight of ladies walking down the street and having people catcall them and stuff. I get it. It sucks. It's a part of life.
Well,
and I've walked down the street and been yelled at by assholes by the way I dress too, because normally I used to dress like Don Johnson all the damn time, and people would yell a lot of dumb shit at me. But every single human penis having male in this movie, if one of the main characters walked by, they were like, hey, pretty mama, you want to get on this? Hey, baby, hey, nice yams there, sugar. And then it's like every single dude that walked by was like, oh, by the way, you want to get my phone number, baby? And you're like, oh,
that's
God,
true.
okay.
Every single one of them.
Every single one.
I did like the one scene at the movie, or not the movie, but at the gala where Wonder Woman comes walking in and every butthole man is just trying to holler at her, and she's like, no, screw off, forget it, don't even want it. Who are you? Piss off. Like, that was kind of cool because she didn't even look at him twice. Like, she was just walking, every dude would holler. And she's
there was
like,
at least 20 minutes of footage in this movie that was dedicated to that.
Well,
yeah. And I was
every scene after the first 5 minutes with Kristen Wiig, they're like, this is why she hates people, because people holler at her.
Yeah. Well, no, she's mad at the world because nobody hollers at her, and now she's mad at the world because people holler at her.
Yeah, she's like, I wish someone would holler at me, and then everyone does. She's like, no, I hate you.
She's like, no, I'm gonna beat this man up in the street, and it's like, I get it, I understand the scene, but what does this do for the story? What does this do for if you're going to be educating doe-eyed young people to look up to this as a training ground for what to aspire to? I don't know if this is a good lesson to be teaching people about life, and the most unbelievable adorable like child that Pedro Pascal has, like this dead-eyed like child that just stands around and being like, and he's like, oh, kid, I'm gonna talk at you, kid, and he's like, and it goes
back and forth. He's like, I love my child more than anything. Who? No, I don't. Screw that kid. No, I love my child. No, I don't even know who this is. Get him out of here. Yeah.
There was just so much heavy-handed, weird stuff like that.
And
that
the characters were
anything
inconsistent. Like if you read about Kristen Wiig's character for the way they describe her in this movie, it's supposed to be like she's tired of this like male-driven world and chauvinist buttholes and not getting ahead in the world because people treat her bad because she's a female in a business that's primarily male or whatever. And you're like, okay.
That's a cool story to tell.
Cool.
You can
but
really
then in
do
the
that.
movie, that doesn't happen.
No, it doesn't happen at all.
That's not what it is. She's like, I'm lonely. Sure wish I wasn't and that I was pretty and cool. And that's her legit wish. Those are real words.
Yeah.
And then everyone's like, yo, you're pretty and cool. She's like, nope. I'm gonna punch your mouth now. Hate it. And it's like, well, no, it could have been cool. It could have meant something, but instead it was dumb and didn't.
Right.
Which is pretty much the whole 2.5 hours of the movie.
And I think that's my point is you had the ability to make something poignant and meaningful about that experience and that, struggle in people's lives. But instead, they just squandered it on this really dumb, half-assed, heavy-handed wannabe crap, and it just didn't feel genuine at all.
It didn't. And honestly, there were two cool scenes in the movie. Everything else is stretched out nonsense like we just talked about, or you saw 100% of it in the trailer.
Yeah.
But there were two cool scenes. The very beginning where you see Wonder Woman as a small girl being a badass, like decathlete Olympian type thing. And then a scene at the end that I won't tell you about, but it actually made me very, very happy. I had a big smile on my face, but everything else in the movie, Max Lord in this movie is not Max Lord from the comic books. Don't even go in thinking he's going to be Max Lord. For Johnny pointing out about Max Lord's neck getting snapped like a popsicle, as it was in the comics at one point. Not going to happen. You see Simon Stagg. He's in it for 2 seconds, and he's just a stepping stone for Max Lord's rise to being the villain in the movie. So there's a lot of there's not.
He became an Easter egg.
Yeah, there's not as much in there for fans of comics or DC.
Well, these movies aren't made for fans of comics or DC.
No,
these movies are made.
They're popcorn,
They're
dumbass
popcorn
bullshit
buckets.
movies.
They're made so that people will buy HBO Max and toys, and for every doe-eyed hoodlum that's playing in the street and won't get out of the freaking way when an Abrams tank is coming at 30 miles an hour, and they're like, no, let's continue to kick the soccer ball while like a militant like freaking convoy is barreling at us with explosions and gunshots.
Yeah, nothing but like machine gun fire and rockets being launched and explosion, and these kids just act like it's nothing, and then they turn into
game on.
They turn into very, very bad CG that was just painful to see in 2020 because it looked like it was straight up from like a 90s movie.
Yeah, there was some rough CGI.
There were some scenes that were pretty hard to look at.
Hard pills to swallow.
Yeah. But it's there's a lack of things that make superhero movies fun. It's not a bad movie. Now, I know that there were a lot of memes, and I saw them all going into this, like when you subscribe to HBO Max, and it's like, I rescind my wish. Like all of these things.
You've seen it, and you're done.
Yeah, all of these people who are just like, yeah, Wonder Woman kind of sucked. It's not that bad. It is 2.5 hours, but it doesn't really seem like it. It's a popcorn movie. It's definitely something you don't have to pay attention to it really, which is kind of the bummer part about it.
Because it's still 2.5. It's 2.5 hours of movie and about 43 minutes of plot. There's a whole sub 35 minutes of like, well, I guess we have to have a love interest for whatever reason, even though we're trying to develop this strong female character that don't need no man, but we better make sure her entire character for a half hour revolves around needing this man. And then,
Yeah, it's like the entire thing. She's like, no, I need
this
80-year-old ding dong
in
my
Chris,
life.
Chris Pine. Like, I'm pining so hard for this pine. And it's like, no, what? No, why? We don't need him. He did his thing, and then he did the exact same thing in this movie. It's like, oh, baby, I know you love me, but you gotta let go. I gotta sacrifice myself yet again with the same exact fucking plot trope that I did in the first one. Ew, boom, I'm dead, but this way is different. Like, and then are they gonna bring him back in the next one? Because apparently he has to be in the movie for her to have any sort of sympathetic plot twist. I don't know. It's just like, leave him out.
Yeah.
Leave him out, because he was all like, hey, do these parachute pants look good? Hey, is that a trash can art? Hey, is this a joke? Things that existed when I was still alive are now fascinating. Like, every time he encountered something from 1984, it was like Harry Potter at Hogwarts again for the 60th time, where he's like, magic still? And, it's like, dude, they had a lot of this shit that they had trash cans in the 50s.
That's not the 50s. He was alive in the teens.
Oh, the teens, or the 20s, or whatever. They
no,
still
the
had
teens. He fought in World War
One. That's right, World War One. But they still had trash cans. They still had all kinds of crazy stuff back then, and he's like looking around like, oh my God, clothing and, fire and electricity. And it's like fucking Encino Man at a certain point during the beginning of this movie.
I don't think it was as extreme as you're making it, but I mean, yeah. When you wake up in someone else's body and you're just like, oh no, I'm cool with this. Which, minor spoiler alert, like I said, the plot, no part of the story that makes any significant difference at all happens until at least the hour and 45-minute mark. It's just a lot of, why am I watching this? And the whole build-up scene with her as a child is pointless to the movie, except for like when they
selling
say,
toys to little girls. That's exactly what that whole scene was for.
One word in the final defeat. You're like, oh, remember 2.5 hours ago when we had this like minor thing that we said that really didn't matter, but now it's like the whole thing. Come on. And there's parts where they try to make her vulnerable and give her a weakness so that it's a superhero movie. And it's every time it doesn't matter, or it's instantly overcome, or they forget it. They're like, oh, the lasso doesn't work. But then it immediately works again. And the whole point of the beginning and the end of the movie and the lasso not working for a split second one time, it should have been kept through the whole runtime of the movie to keep that significance of the plot point. The plot
or
point of the movie.
Damn wing armor that they set up this entire backstory about how she was like, every male in the entire universe beat her to death, and she was able to survive because of the strength of this magical armor. And then she's like, yo, magic armor, I'm wearing this shit. Look out, world. And then it gets immediately ripped off. And she's like, well, okay, enough of the armor. And I'm glad we have an alternate action figure to sell. Like, because guess what? Like, Kristen Wiig's powers were just fast and strong. She didn't have the ability to rip off magic armor. And
the whole point of the movie that it tells you at the end was supposed to be the point of the movie is truth, and there's a minor mention of it at the beginning. It's not there. I mean, it's not there.
And the invisible jet was stupid.
The invisible jet was stupid, but it was also like
fan service.
Yeah, ish. And I was like, the only thing they're missing is spinning. And then Wonder Woman like spins once, but not like on her feet like Linda Carter or anything cool, but like while dangling. And I'm like, don't do this to me. I don't know, man. I think we've talked about it too much, really.
I like how Johnny Dalton, he says, Chris Pine could have been Martian Manhunter playing a really mean prank. Ooh.
Now, bringing in John Jones would be pretty rad.
I need some Martian
Manhunter. As long as
Manhunter.
they do him better than they did in Supergirl, is what I'm asking there. He did also ask, are there any dinosaurs on this dinosaur tour? That's kind of the feeling that you have, like you're on the rail track. You can't explore on your own. And every time you get to an exhibit, it's like, here's some pretty plants that you can look at. We set them in 1984, and you're just like, okay.
Well, and again, it's the backdrop of 1984. This movie literally could have taken place in any other time period. There was nothing that was holding, the story into this time frame, other than it's far enough away from any of the other DC properties to where they're like, okay, let's make it in the 80s because 80s are trending real hard right now, and nostalgic bullcrap is trending real hard, even though the set designers couldn't figure out what decade they were in because they kept using band t-shirts and video games and all this crap. They're going, I guess it's from the 80s. It doesn't matter, even though it's hard 1984 in the title.
Well,
which is closer to the 70s than the 80s.
Yeah, and well, I think it may have been Johnny that pointed out earlier too. Every arcade game in the arcade came out after '84. So, yeah,
like there's a scene where they're playing like Operation Wolf, or the sequel to Operation Wolf, which is Operation Thunderbolt, because that was a 2-player one. And it's like, yo, dude, that didn't come out till like 87. And but anyway.
But this is also the DC universe, so maybe things happen a little differently there.
Miles says, I thought the actor for Max Lord was very charismatic and definitely going to get a lot of work. That's Pedro Pascal, dude.
I think.
What are you talking? Are you making fun of me?
I think it's a joke.
Are you making fun of me because it's Pedro Pascal? Of course,
especially considering that he just took his helmet off on
in Mandalorian
Disney.
For the 7th time in the show, which was unnecessary.
Yeah, for the rival comic book service over there.
But yeah, Pedro Pascal, he's an up and comer, dude.
He is one of your up and comers.
He is an up and comer. I mean, I think everybody fell in love with him on Game of Thrones when he was Spear Guy, and
no eyeballs guy.
No eyeballs Spear Guy. But no, Pedro Pascal rules, and yeah, definitely going to see a lot of work in his future. I mean,
now, so the one thing that we didn't really mention though is that basically though. Someone did say something about how they wish this was Flashpoint Wonder Woman. The mall scene would have been a lot more decapitations.
Oh, there was a lot of wishing in this movie.
They do the full opposite of that. In fact, where Wonder Woman's like, don't hurt people, they're innocent. And so her and Chris Pine's character do everything they can to not cause significant...
Except, did you notice the scenes where, like, officers are pulling like, security dudes are pulling guns on Wonder Woman, like, oh, stop, I don't know who you are, you're a magic person, and I'm going to shoot you with bullets, and she's like, I'm going to throw you against the wall and through a door and into the street, but when, like, Cheetah or whatever her name is throws a dude against the door, she's like, oh, stop, don't throw him against doors, and, like, trying to catch him, it's like, well, make up your mind, Wonder Woman, you were just kicking dudes halfway across the planet.
I told you, it's very inconsistent. But where were we going?
You were talking about protecting people that don't need to be hurt.
Oh, right, yeah. So they do set up not a Flashpoint, but a very Flash WB or a CW type thing where this movie could be used as the origin explanation for anybody and everybody they want in DC, so that they can just be like, oh, because of this. It's very Smallville. It's very Arrowverse, how they did this movie, so that any DC movie that comes out in the future from this point forward can now be used as a, they're like, oh, well, from this event in this movie. Which also, they have confirmed that Michael Keaton Batman is going to be in the next, in the Flash movie, right? It's going to be Ben Affleck and Michael Keaton's Batman. Yep. And they're doing The Batman with Robert Pattinson. So they could probably in some way link anything and everything they want to this film. And we'll see how the Snyder Cut goes when it's released on HBO, which also they did announce that they were talking about doing a theatrical release of Snyder Cut.
I'm there for it.
As like a 4-hour movie.
Oh, Jesus. Intermission, I hope.
Yeah, so.
There better be, if we're going to start having these things, give me some intermissions, dude. I think intermissions are a lost art, and I think the theaters would benefit from them. Take an intermission, everybody go pee-pee, go get a little bit of snackies, get a little refill on your sody pops.
When I watch a movie on TCM or something that includes an intermission, that is something that I like to have the music in the intermission. It's like I'll get up and use the bathroom. Yeah, grab some
Let's go
more
out to
snacks.
The lobby.
Yeah.
Let's go out to
not
the
that,
lobby.
Not that music.
Let's
music
for
the movie.
lobby.
And I do hate
a snack.
on home video when movies that had an intermission have the intermission edited out of them.
No, leave the intermission.
Yeah. So if you watch something like It's a Mad, 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 Mad World, it retains its intermission. But there are other movies that they have edited them out of for home releases. And they're like, we'll just pause at your convenience. Instead of where the natural point slowing down that
was designed for it.
The editors had been like, this is where it is. And the cinematographer and the editor were like, yeah, this is the great spot. The fade out, the new act is starting. It's a pathway into act 2 or 3 or whatever. So
storytelling,
instead of just pausing it and being like, oh, the story didn't really seem to flow. Yeah, well, maybe because you stopped it at the wrong time and your mood changed and you ruined it.
Yeah. Vince says, I thought you were going to say, go get yourself a little reefer instead of a refill.
Is that something you do?
No. That's something you do.
The
Grip's such a reefer addict.
No way, dude.
He's a big old reefer addict. He loves his reefer.
Actually, any of you that watched our 420 episode knows that I know way too much about reefer addict movies, but I have never one time
inhaled.
Toked the reefer.
He's never inhaled, ladies and gentlemen. He's running for office. Never has he inhaled. But anyway, Wonder Woman 84, I mean, it's a movie. It's a movie. It's a movie. And there's a part of it that's refreshing that it's a movie because we haven't had a movie in a long time. But there are plenty of other parts where you're like, God dang it, is this where movies have gone? Is this where we've become as a people, that this is what we like and what we crave and what it constitutes both theatrical and at-home entertainment? Like, ugh. You know, I'm ready for Snyder Cut, and there's multiple reasons why. Number one, it came out at a time where we had just been getting so indoctrinated on a formulaic way of movies. I mean, if you look at the way that comic book movies have gone ever since Guardians of the Galaxy, they've all started to become this very formulaic cut and paste where they're all starting to now feel the same, where they're adding the same amounts of humor, the same color palettes, the same musical beats, the same like nostalgic mixtape bullshit. Like it's all kind of flowing together. But the Justice League kind of was like, nah, dude, we're gonna try and make it a little dark. And then it got rough because they couldn't figure out where to go with it.
That is one thing about this one. I meant to say it and I thought about it when I was watching it in the theater. The Hans Zimmer soundtrack for this is pretty good.
It is pretty good.
The movie is more than just 80s music in the background.
In fact, it's a lot less 80s music than I really thought it was going to be.
It's a lot more orchestrated, composed music, and it works a lot better. And the only comedic character is Chris Pine, and it's not all the time. It's at times when some comedic relief is okay. So it was nice to see that this movie wasn't just joke character after joke character after joke character. Max Lord was a serious character. Simon Stagg, even though he's in it for 2 seconds, was a serious character. Everyone that showed up in it, even Chris Pine's character for the most part, was a serious character that could contribute comedic relief. And the music worked out. So there was no soundtrack to the movie, and there was no every character needs to be a walking punchline. Yeah.
A Chris pratfall.
Yeah, so it was it actually was okay to see it step away from that Marvel formula of everyone needs to cut a joke each time the camera switches to them or this movie doesn't work.
Yeah, and that's one of the reasons I'm looking forward to Snyder Cut, is I think that he's going to lean further into his original vision when the vision got lost, because everybody was like, no, we need it to follow this Marvel formula, and they kept trying to retrofit this movie to fit this Marvel formula. And now that
especially bringing in Joss Whedon, who did the Avengers and made the BS Marvel that exists that everyone just tugs their pee-pees to.
I just hope that we've had enough of a break from the theaters and enough of a distance from that churn out stuff to when we do get to see it. It's kind of a breath of fresh air. And, it's kind of like revisiting movies that are a little bit older and seeing how well they've aged. Some movies that came out in the theater, like, oh, man, that was garbage at the time. And then you're like, man, that aged pretty nice because you're looking at it differently.
Well, so they recently had a lot of the DC movies on TV, and my parents watched a bunch of them for the first time. They had seen Wonder Woman. And I think they had seen they watched Man of Steel either for the first time or like a refresher, and then they watched Batman vs Superman, and Justice League.
Mm-hmm.
And then I was like, yeah, now you need to watch Aquaman after that one, I guess. You don't have to if you've ever played Uncharted 2. It's like unnecessary. But I was like, you need to do that. And my mom, when we talked the other day, was like, oh, we actually got all the way up to Justice League. And she was like, I thought it was okay. And I was like, well, the world hated it, and they're about to release a new one. So now that one's fresh on you, you can watch the Snyder Cut when it comes out.
With eyes.
Mm-hmm.
With eyes unclouded.
And she's like, well, why'd they do that? And I was like, well, unfortunately, Zack Snyder had a very tragic event in his family, and he had to leave filming of a movie. And they brought in Joss Whedon, the Butthole Man, to change the whole damn thing.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So it's cool to see that they give the original visionary they hired for the project another chance at it. Someone that the actors all liked better, someone that the script was more adjusted towards, and it'd be cool if you got to see other movies like that. Like if more of Solo, a Star Wars story, had been filmed prior to Ron Howard showing up, if they gave like one of the other directors a chance to show what it would have been if they would have finished it. But I don't think hardly any of it was done by the time Howard showed up. But I do think that Disney took the reins on that, and they're like, Ron Howard, we know that your movies are always really good and everything, but we'll handle this one. You just point the camera.
We just want your last name.
Yeah, just point the camera, Ginger Boy. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So
Johnny Dalton says, I wonder if we will get the Spawn movie within our lifetime. We already got it, dude.
that's true. Yeah, we got Michael Jai White. What
We
do you
got
need another
John
one for?
Leguizamo with an amazing performance as the clown. Well, he did a great job as the clown.
Yeah, but dude, Michael Jai White, bro.
Was awesome. I'm saying that they were awesome in their roles together. Michael Jai White was a great Spawn. And
Michael Jai White's just cool in movies.
And then John Leguizamo was a great clown. And for the time, the cape effects were pretty cool. For the time.
You know what? I really want to see Disney go dark with a Marvel movie, and I want to see them do Future Imperfect with friggin' Hulk being irradiated by all the gamma stuff and becoming...
or just do World War Hulk.
No, screw World War Hulk. No, I'm talking about Maestro, where Hulk, like... It takes all of the women for his own, and he's killed all of the Avengers.
Well, they'll never do that with Hulk because now Hulk gives people tacos and has a really funny pee-pee and his butt's out, and he's best friends with Thor.
Yeah, but in
so
that
that's never gonna
universe,
happen.
Hulk takes people's tacos and he kills everybody, and he's Maestro, and he's basically just like a double green Kimbo slice, and it's the coolest.
That would be a really cool one.
Yeah.
That would be pretty cool.
Marvel, go dark and give us this. I need Maestro in my life.
Just try going dark a little bit, I mean, there's really good stories to be told. There's drama to be unfurled. Okay, well, before we run out of time, we do still have a week's worth of Gremlin's advent calendar. Johnny Dalton says Todd McFarlane was supposed to write and direct a new one.
A Spawn movie? Done by Todd McFarlane himself?
I'd be about it. I would be about it.
They should have let him do Venom.
Yes. Okay. Let me jump through these. We left off on 25, so we need to hit 26.
Is that where we stopped? Did we stop on Christmas Day?
Yeah, because that was the last week, and everything past would be past Christmas. That was our line of reasoning here.
Well, you're in the theater, dude. If Hulk Hogan is not in that box, I'm gonna be bummed out.
So 26 is this little guy. I mean, it's hard to pull focus.
Is that another stripe or just a mohawked?
Here, let me go over here. Here we go. So we got this little guy here. He was 26. Yeah, you can actually see here.
Yeah, that works out.
Yeah, this works out.
Oh, you're not on scene? You've been lying to me this whole time?
What? I'm not in the theater. No. Here we go. Let's see. Go to 27. What do we got in 27? Oh, we got another one of these, like evil Grimmies. We got right there, evil Grimmy. All right, moving on. 28. Uh-oh, what is this one? Oh, we got a movie theater gremlin. We got the one with the popcorn on his ears. Check him out. He's just like, although I thought he was green and not brown. But I thought they were all green and not brown. But, I like the popcorn ear. That's so far my favorite one. This is a big one. Don't know.
More goo.
Oh, it's more goo, but it's Dead Spike. instead of an egg, you get it's like his skeleton. Ew. So you can cover him in the goo when he's like in the fountain dying and scaring children. So 30 is Phantom of the Opera Gremlin. Yeah, look at that one.
Oh, I forgot about that one.
Yeah, this
one's really cool.
Oh, this one's now my favorite.
That's the Gerard Butler one.
No, not Gerard Butler. And then last but not least, 31. What is it going to be? There it is. I think I said it in the first week. 31. Boom.
Uh-oh, it's your favorite.
It's the one.
It's the one that sucks off the dude from Scrooge.
It's the one. It's the female gremlin right
or
there.
Or Lex Luthor's dad from Smallville,
Boom.
Since we're keeping the DC thing
There
going.
it is. There it is. They'll save the best for last. Right there. Countdown calendar, Gremlin style.
Well, Johnny and I have to be disappointed because he wanted Dick Miller. I wanted Hulk Hogan. We didn't get either one, unfortunately, for us there. Or
Miller,
Christopher Lee. We didn't
Miller
get Christopher
cool.
Lee. Or Phoebe Cates. I would have been cool with a Phoebe Cates.
That would have been cool.
Vince, he said if he could say one thing that happened from COVID is that the close-up cam is much better for Gremlins. Hey, that is true. Yeah. The close-up cam over there worked out great for those.
The close-up cam is the producer's cam, and since he's not here today because he's doing year-end work stuff, because he's big-time, remote boy, computer guy. So yeah, the producer cam, this one, is So
that's the producer catchphrase there.
Secondary cam. Oh geez, look at all this crap. This is just everything's weird.
We should just do that half faded in, me and you like that, and I'm like the voice over your shoulder.
Let me do this one. Here we go. Jay,
this the ghost
it's
cam.
Me.
Yeah.
Oh. You will be visited by 3 me's. I don't know.
3 U's. Johnny asked if I've listened to the No Holds Barred commentary with Bruce Pritchard. Is it on the No Holds Barred DVD? If it is, I could. If not, if it's on Bruce Pritchard's podcast or something like that, I'd probably need to find it and listen. Bruce Pritchard, a.k.a. Brother Love, sometimes can be entertaining. A lot of the times can be a big butthole man. I go back and forth on whether I want to listen to anything he says or not. And the wrestling community as a whole goes back and forth on whether anything he says is truthful or just complete horseshit. So, but no matter what, I guess Bruce Pritchard does his job of doing the wrestling entertaining thing, which there's supposed to be more episodes of Beyond the Ring on Vice sometime. I need to look and check that out. Oh, you know what, Vince? Since you pointed out that Hulu with live TV is now the most expensive thing in the world.
Told you.
I might as well just have cable again. I did switch my service because it was with ads at $70, and that's not okay.
Get an antenna, bro.
Yeah, it used to be about $40.
Although where we live, because we live like 2 blocks, literally, no, 1 block. We live 1 block away from each other.
Yeah.
That's so weird. But where we live, you
never come to visit.
Well, you never come to visit me either, but
well, you don't invite me, bro.
Psh, whatever, dude. But yeah, we get no of those HD antenna. I'm on my 3rd HD antenna, and I get like CBS. I think that's it.
Yeah, I have really good internet, so I just use YouTube. But which you should be watching us on. Where was I going with this?
You're talking about
I got rid of I got rid of the Hulu with live TV, and now have it where I just have plain old Hulu.
Plain old.
Thanks for the pointer on that.
Vince says, "Can I just say that the bottom of Jake's mask with his beard looks like the bottom of a bikini in the 1970s?"
Yeah, dude. I had trimmed it up not long ago, so
you got to tuck that boosh in there, my guy.
Under the mask, I know. Well, I'm a big person, and these are a single size, so to keep my nose covered, it makes it where just the bottom of your boosh right there.
He got a little bottom boosh hanging out there,
guess
a little
so.
shrubbery.
I did start to make my own mask, and then I don't have a sewing machine, and those little like hand stitch deals, like the
as seen
sewing.
on TV. They go
no. Singer makes one. They make them.
Okay.
They make like legit things. but those all sold out as soon as the world decided to make their own mask. So I just hand sewing got very tedious and I hated it. So I actually have it somewhere. I need to finish all of that, but until then,
hopefully we won't need masks again on the show.
Yeah, until then, I got all
70s boosh.
Yeah, I got the pube thing going.
It's so
I don't know.
gross.
Hey, you know what though? Speaking of looking at me,
Speaking of pubes,
which I'm so sorry for, I'm double kissed out here.
Oh yeah,
because New Year's,
dude,
kiss.
$39.99. Are we gonna watch it? We gonna get it?
We have to.
Yeah, dude.
We have to.
I'll order it. I mean, and I think we if you get the $39.99, you get 48 hours to like review it once or whatever.
Nice.
So what I'll probably
only once.
But what I'll do is we'll use one of our capture cards here, and I'll just
don't tell Gene Simmons this.
And then we'll give him a lot of money. We're Gene Simmons. We're gonna give you all the money. That's all we're gonna do. We're gonna order the Kiss casket. I'm gonna get the Kiss pinball machine.
I honestly would not be upset to be buried in the Kiss casket.
Same. I think it plays for like 15 years in the casket. I think it has a battery that'll play Kiss songs to your dead ass carcass. So you can rock and roll all night and party into the afterlife.
As they lower you down, it's just like, God gave rock and roll to you.
Yeah, that would be amazing. And your soul.
Yeah, that would be great. But yeah, we have to. And you know what? Talking about you over here in the theater by yourself and things that you pay for, we did rent out that theater. It was actually very nice for us to be in the theater.
Yeah, dude, it was super cool.
Private theater.
I highly recommend getting a private theater.
Definitely worth it.
Oh yeah, all you had to do is walk up and you tell your friends, go, yeah, tell the people at the theater that you're in Auditorium 9, and then they're like, we're in Auditorium 9. They go, oh, right this way. Mm-hmm. And yeah, super dope.
But keep in mind, so if you are worried about COVID, but you do have friends and family that you're okay watching a movie with, you can rent a theater for yourself at most theatrical locations. I think are offering that kind of thing. And our local Malco chain is still doing the video games, which in the theater that we were in, we get to see how that's set up. They do have
looks cool.
Very long HDMI cables and things like that. They have a table there so that you can set up your console and systems and whatever. And I think playing something like Mortal Kombat 10 or 11 or Dragon Ball Fighter Z.
I want to do it now. I really want to do it.
Yeah, like some sort of fighting game or any kind of like puzzle game.
I've spent $100 on dumber things.
Oh yeah.
So let's do it.
Or just one person playing Sea of Thieves and everyone else, like, something that's very cinematic to view. Or
I would sit and watch Sea of Thieves. Yeah. Like, hell yeah, dude.
Yeah, or you know what I'm saying? Like having something blown up like a fighting game, like Dragon Ball Fighter Z, which is just so much action and looks like the anime, or something like Mortal Kombat that with 11
or what was that Batman
such highly detailed.
What was that Batman game?
Oh yeah, like Arkham, one of the Arkham games.
Yeah, dude.
Yeah, I have all of them. We could do that.
That'd be dope. Well, all right, gang. I think we are out of time. Poochie says Red Dead Redemption 2 would be beautiful.
I don't know how long you get the theater, and I think that game as a whole would be too slow paced.
You need like 17 hours into that theater.
Right, yeah. I'm thinking of things that are fast action that you really make use of your time, because renting a theater is like $75-$100 for the video game thing, I think. So
yeah, I think it's 90. I think it's 99, and you get it for what? 2 hours maybe. I think is what it is.
Is that? I would hope it's at least the length of a movie. Yeah. So.
Yeah. So. All right, gang. Well, we're out of time. Thanks again, everybody, for tuning in, checking us out. We really appreciate you guys. Don't forget to like and subscribe. We're always out here doing the things. I know that this episode was a little bit strange. No producer. I'm in the weird cam. But if you're listening to the podcast, wherever you get podcasts, you are none the wiser, except for we sound muffled because we had our masks on. So anyway, any parting words? You're over there in the driver's seat.
Oh yeah. No, man, I think we covered it all. Definitely.
Oh, Happy New Year.
That's true. Yeah.
Holy
hey,
crap.
Next time you see us, it will be
2020.
New Year, and it'll be weird because we already announced that we're not going to have our worst of list.
No,
just because nothing really came
2021 was the or 2020 was the worst.
Yeah, I don't know if we could come up with 10 movies apiece for that kind of a thing, but. hopefully everyone has a decent New Year. Unfortunately, here in our area, it is currently illegal to be out at midnight celebrating. So whatever you do, we will.
Oh, your mom says Happy New Year.
Yeah, hey.
Happy New Year to the Grips family.
Once again, reminding that I need to watch Blinded by the Light. I have got to experience Bruce Springsteen's British fandom. So, yes, I do need to do that. Maybe that's something I will do here while we're looking for entertainment at home. So.
All right. Well, we'll see you guys next week. Later, guys.
See ya.